Hello. Hi, everyone. Corey here, coming in today to do an energy update for this new moon. So, happy new moon, everyone. Um, and I'm just going to wait and just let some people join in and making sure that I am on Facebook and I'm on YouTube. So, for those watching, this is being broadcast on Facebook and on YouTube. So, the shared comments on the screen you will see on both. Any conversations we're having, you'll see on both, but the comments that are underneath the videos, they do not share over to each. So you may see me commenting to somebody that you're not seeing on Facebook or you're not seeing on YouTube, and it's because the comments don't share over that is in the writing. Hello, hello, Linda. Hello, Lisa. Hi. I'm just bringing up on my just bringing up on my phone here, so I can also see the comments on both as well. So I can tell by Linda being here that I am on YouTube and Facebook. We are connected. I'm a few minutes late. I said I'd be here at 11, but the system wasn't cooperating this morning. And I think that's the story of life in the last couple days is or this week has been filled with moments like that. It has been testing and testing and challenging all week. But I really felt the call to come in today. And I wanted to share something today. So, and I wanted to talk about the new moon because I was going to record the new moon energy update all by myself without anyone here and share it on Facebook. But I decided to come in and do it as a live video. But also, there is the November energy update is now out and available. It has been a few weeks since I have posted a video on YouTube, but the November one is available, so you can go in and listen to that one. And I'm just watching and waiting to see if we have anyone else that's joining in and is coming in today. And I will share a little bit about my message that was the post about coming on live today and the little spiel that's underneath that and why I think it's important to share that, to have that conversation. And the conversation is about liking our work, it's about supporting our work. And because there's a lot of misconceptions around all the videos that are on YouTube or on Facebook, and that people believe we are all getting paid and we're making big bucks. We're not those big influencers. It doesn't happen. And especially if you are Canadian, you do not get that. You do not, I'm not an influencer. I'm not a circus clown. I'm not performing for anyone. I'm not dancing around. That stuff's not happening. I come in here so that I can share this information, share this knowledge, and I love to share. And I love to create a balance of giving and receiving. So I will talk a little bit about that as well today, because that is coming up in our new moon energy as well. And so welcome to the new moon. We have been feeling the effects of this new moon for a few days. And why? It's because there's a lot that's influencing this new moon. And we're feeling the effects of this new moon. And there is a lot of assumption and assuming that's happening on a collective scale right now. And so it's so easy to create narratives and stories and to get lost in our fear stories. All of that's happening. It is a real deal. It is all happening right now. People say, well, here we're coming to a new month, or, November is going to be a much better month. And it's like every opportunity every month has an opportunity to be a better month or a good time. It's how we navigate through the energy, is how, when you learn how to connect and read the energy, not always understand it, but to read it through, not from your emotions, but from a new level of truth, that your emotions can be the thing that, if your emotions is the thing that's dictating your decisions and your choices, is that those emotions are often tied to priorities as well, and what is a priority in making choices. And that's coming up for us in this new moon energy. So I do want to talk about that. So let's discuss some of the things that is happening. First and foremost, I do want to say this. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who came to see me in Newfoundland. It was one of the most incredible experiences. I've had a lot of incredible experiences in my life. The tour in Newfoundland was beyond anything I could have created or imagined in my mind. I could never had even thought of how it would have influenced, affect me, how it would have changed my life and changed how I would have even shown up in this world. And the love, the support, and it was, I've seen almost 300 people in Newfoundland, and it was incredible. The hugs, the shared stories, the journeys, the everything, every bit of the trip to Newfoundland and the tour across from Corner Brook to St. John's was incredible. I have heard your request for the people who are telling me to come other places, and I will. This was the first big tour that I'd ever taken, that I'd ever done. It's not my first rodeo in doing group readings or gallery readings, but to take on such a big undertaking of 6 shows and teach a workshop in that period of time. Wait now, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 5 shows and teach a workshop, all was like so beyond me. So we had a full workshop also in between all the gallery readings that we had done in Newfoundland. And I'm still getting messages from people now who are saying, I wish I had known you were coming. I didn't know. So everything that's posted on here sometimes don't get shared where it needs to, or you're new to following my work. There was people who had never heard of me but seen the ads. And so yeah, it was just so much that transpired, and I don't know how to put it all in words, but I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for everyone who showed up, and for Lisa for coming and taking that journey with me, and my family who traveled with me, who went to those locations. We did a lot of driving and a lot of setting up and a lot of taking down. And there was just so much, and I learned so much. So thank you. And I will be back, and I will be doing more locations and more places and more tours and things like that, depending on my animals. So that's one of the things that happened in the last few weeks. So a lot of things that has been going on. Thank you. I miss being on here as well. Uh, right, Lisa? It was such an amazing experience. And so this new moon, this new moon's in Scorpio. We are now in November the 1st. We are shift. We are in Scorpio season. And with this new moon and this new moon energy is, I wanted to be able to say that I thought I was coming in and the whole message would have been for the whole month of November. It's going to be great. But it's not great. There is friction. There is some friction there. There is some underlying things in our lives that is rising up so that we can deal with them, so we can face them, so that we can notice the areas of our lives where we fear the uncomfortable or where we don't want to be made uncomfortable. And that is our greatest challenge in life, is to be afraid of being made uncomfortable, or to be able to accept that not everything is going to be created to make us happy. The world, the whole universe, everything that's out there is not created and designed for your happiness, for your state of peace. Your state of peace and your happiness is all dependent upon how you decide to show up in the world, how you decide to take things, whether we take the world so personally, whether we get overly invested in things that we're only willing to see it in one perspective. The more open we become, the more we open our heart, we open our mind, we open all of our eyes, we open ourselves to the ability to be able to see that all things have many views and many perspectives, that it all is, it all matters to somebody, and a lot of things don't matter to anyone. And so there's a lot of influencing energy that's just saying, we're just going to keep you a little bit uncomfortable for another little bit. There is that. And this has really been coming up for me in the past week. In the past week and a half, was really noticing how much people try to stop uncomfortable conversations from happening. And it's usually with the fillers. It's the connectors, right? It's the things that either connect us or push people away from you. And so they're often things like, oh, but if someone is having a shitty day and they just need to just like vent it out, or if they are not happy with something, or if life didn't give them all freaking roses, sunshine, and butterflies, is that somebody is always trying to say, oh, but You got to look at the sunny side of things. You got to look at the bright side of things. If we fear seeing and feeling and sensing our own darkness, our own stormy days, our own cloudy energy, the gray areas of life, how do we ever get to heal and clear and resolve the things that do make us uncomfortable? If we're always only creating comfort, we can never get to that place. And Scorpio does come with that. Scorpio is a water sign, but it is a scorpion energy. It is earthy. It's even though it's watery, it's that it has some murk to it. It has some mud to it. It has some grit to it. And Scorpio people can be very gritty. They can get to the nitty gritty. They can be very clear and very demanding and very commanding of their energy. And this new moon is saying, be very aware of your intentions. If you're afraid to fly, if you have a fear of heights, you can never fly, right? Or often you can't fly. If you fear falling, you'll never fly high enough, right? And that's a truth. And that's coming up. I put that in November's message, is that if we fear flying, right? If we fear the flying, we never get there. Madonna. So Lisa, I think this one ties back to you too. So Madonna said, hi, Corrie from the Mummers. LOL. Oh God, Madonna, can I share your story? Can I share that experience? That was in Gander, right? And I'm not share your whole message, but just share the little experience about what I seen. Um, I can. Okay, so give me a minute. I'm going to go back to that. And so if we, if we fear failure, if like, I mean, false evidence. So there's one thing to be a little bit afraid and cautious, and we should, but if we tell ourselves over and over again that if I fly, I may fall. But what if I fall? But what if you fly? It's that goes back and forth to that whole narrative right now is, what if I fail? But what if you succeed? What if I get hurt? But what if you find love? But the what if, there's a lot of changing the narrative and the perspectives in making choices and decisions right now, including in relationships. And it's speaking to us in such a big way. And so when I was recording last night, I went, oh shit, it is also new moon that hits on November the 1st, the same time I'm putting out the videos. And I'm like, oh, I have to create 2 videos. And I'm like, no, I don't have to create 2 videos. I can do something that I want to do by combining things. And so I created November's message. I included the new moon. And then I decided, well, I was going to do a live today. I would include it in here. And it's the fact that we can get so caught up in our false evidence appearing real stories, our fear. False evidence appearing real is an acronym. It's the acronym, and it's called fear for a reason. Is that we create false evidence that, or we look through the past to dictate where we are now as pure evidence to why we should not do something, instead of dissecting our past. And if we dissect the past, we may find that there is evidence to why we should do things in a new way and in a different way. But something of what we did in the past may have worked, but something may not be working. And if we fear, the greatest intention of November is really truly releasing, letting go of that version of you that is the one that becomes your safety net, the go-to. There is that version of ourselves that becomes our go-to. And so it is what we call the imposter syndrome, right? That we have the imposter syndrome. And why the whole tour to Newfoundland was so important for me was that I could really override my imposter syndrome. And what that means is that whenever I do something, whenever I create anything, for months after, for hours after, for days after, I don't even know how long sometimes, I would doubt myself. And I would always wonder if I did enough, if I was enough, if it was good enough. I would scrutinize it. I would pick it apart. I would be so hard on myself. And my whole journey through that tour there was challenges that came in. There was experiences that were coming in. There was moments that were coming in. There was things that were happening that was giving me evidence to why I should judge myself, why I should compare myself to somebody else. But on the other side of that was walking out every single night and just saying, I did exactly what was asked of me. And not to go to bed in my head wondering if I'd done enough, because it robs you of your joy. It robs you of the experiences. It robs you of the moments of your life. And so that imposter of that robs me of that is my own insecurities. It is my own doubts. And that was a big thing that was coming up for my healing. Now it's coming up with this new moon. We can be so hell-bent on who we think we are, how we think the world should be, how we think people should be, how we think everything should go, that it becomes the thing that actually is the crippling energy for us. And that crippling energy is then the thing that keeps you living in the ways and the life and the habits and the patterns that keeps you just coasting, or keeps you doing the things that then has in the back of your mind building up resentment stories, that, or the shoulda coulda woulda stories that just says, well, why didn't I do that, or why didn't I think of that, or why wouldn't I have done that? And so sometimes we don't know until we test ourselves, we push ourselves, we challenge ourselves to be able to overcome the things that we fear the most, and that we open up and we dissect through those experiences of life that have kept us being that old way, being stuck in that old energy. A lot of things were just, it tied back for me. I dealt with the perfectionist, I dealt with the workaholic, I dealt with all of those. But there was some deeper seated source that was as if every time that I would finish something, it would be an exhausting journey through wondering if I had done enough, wondering if I made everyone happy. Of course, you didn't make everyone happy. And that's the truth. You're never going to make everyone happy. Some people are going to be miserable no matter what you do. Some people are going to find something to complain about no matter what you do. Some people are always going to return to a same way of being because they just can't break free. And some people are so hell bent on their design of being a certain way that they're unwilling to walk a new way. And that's been coming up everywhere in this new moon and for November, that we are being challenged to go through this because there is a big shift that is happening in the middle of November, or closer to the end of November, that is going to end a time that we will never see again. And I think it's the Capricorn and Pluto that we'll never see in our lifetime again. And it's just like that part of ourselves that, what are we finally done with? Well, if we have such fears, false acronyms, right? The false stories that hold us to our identity, is that we never get to know a higher expression of ourselves, or a newer expression of ourselves. We never get to be in the sense of being in our creative state of being. And as we move into the new year, move into November, December, it is going to be about a more creative expression of ourselves. But we are sold a lot of Kool-Aid in life. We're sold a lot of Kool-Aid on what life should look like. The kumbaya stories. We all should, we're all going to be alike. We're all going to be equal. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're all going to be the same. We're all going to be similar. If we're all going to think like, how colorful our world will be, all gray, if we are all in that place. And when we can look at the competitive energy that we hold within us, and we can bring it into the healthy form of our expansion of ourselves, and you can see competitive energy as a way to compete with the to not compete with the older versions of yourself, and not to outrun them, not to go back to them, but to shed the layers that are the things that contain this sense of the safety nets. And we can break ourselves free. So the analogy they keep giving me is the essence of falling into the hole, falling into that well, right? Falling down into the hole. And we believe if we fall, like when we fall down, we have no way out. But yet, some way we climb up. When you look at life, some way we do keep climbing up and out. And once we've fallen in and we know where the hole is, if we keep returning to the same patterns and keep going down the same path and repeating the same thing and keep returning to the comforts, to the backward journey, how do we ever get forward? Right? How do we? And so once we know that hole, once we know that kryptonite, once we know that pattern that we keep returning to, that is our safety net. Every time we return to it and we get the same outcome, we feel the same way about ourselves, is when do you make a decision to finally bulldoze that over, to cover that over, to go another way and just say, there's a place over there. I don't want to go there again. I don't want to do that again. I need to do something different. But if I don't figure out why I keep walking that way, I'm going to keep going that way. If I keep looking into somebody else's image or somebody else's life and assuming the life I think they're living, and then I'm being hard on myself because I'm not living that life that I think they're living, is that what you're doing is that the unmet parts of yourself, you are reflecting onto another, and they have to be your problem because it's definitely not you. It is you that's the problem, right? And sometimes we have to look at, when we talk about going from problems to solutions, when we look at going from problems to solution, we have to look at what we're using for our solution, right? And so, if we have a problem with our inner child, on, our inner wounds, our inner child wounds, but we go to the solution of an addiction, that's our solution. We have to look at that solution. We have to look at why that's the solution. We know the problem, but we have to find what the real source is, right? And so finding that sense of self that keeps taking the familiar path or the known path, or the sense of numbing instead of being willing to look a little deeper, is that it's so easy. And I don't mean just drugs and alcohol. That's not, addictions is not just that. You can be addicted to being the version of yourself that you keep returning to. And so when you look at it in a bigger way, in the bigger picture, if we take it in a macro view and you look at it from the outside, it's like, this is my one and only solution, but what if there's another way? And so the way to returning to love, and the way to returning to life, the way to returning to this self that we don't even know, but yet we assume we know a lot about, is to really look at what we have been using as solutions in life that are typically often band-aids or temporary satisfactions. Because if we're still unhappy, if we're still dissatisfied, if we go to the safety net, is that we're springboarding off. We can't get any farther. And so it is a limiting life, and it's a limiting belief. And so moving beyond that this month is really pushing us to really move beyond those challenges. Right? It's like, so what if our solution is not the solution that really truly works? What if we're wrong? What if the solution is something more? And so my solution that I knew was beyond me just trying to tell myself, don't do that. Like, you got to stop doing that to yourself, was to move beyond that solution, was to find another solution, which was take action, to let the fear stand in the way of moving forward, and to take a greater leap of faith. And sometimes that leap of faith means you got to override the easy solution to get to a more permanent solution. So the temporary solution versus a more permanent solution that helps you to live on purpose, because this month, this new moon is all about setting the intention to really step into our divine purpose, to really know that there is something more, something bigger that is there for us, that is in the macro, bringing it back into the micro, bringing it back into us, and just asking ourselves, am I sick of that version of myself? Am I tired of that right now? And do I want to do something? Am I ready? Am I ready to push myself beyond the boundaries that hold me hostage? The entrapment story. So that's what we have coming up. And sorry, I had to keep going on and on because I'm channeling this message through for you. So that message is channeled through. That is our new moon energy. It is a lot. Breathe that through. Listen to it again. Let it really sit with you. And you may not, somebody said to me, you talk over my head. I don't get it. And I'm like, you don't have to understand it. You just have to close your eyes and just listen. Close your eyes and hear the vibration. Hear the energy, feel the energy. Let the energy just consume you. It's not about it being right or wrong. It's about you just allowing yourself. It's like music, right? It's like rhythm. And so it helps us to become in alignment to our own rhythm. It's not about whether or not I got it right or they got it right. It's about aligning to our own rhythm, noticing any spots of where we do kind of feel that triggered energy, where we feel that sense of rising up of the rebel or the hurts or whatever it's coming up, whatever it's bringing up for you, and notice that. Be aware of that and catch that in your own experience. And that's what they're bringing forth for you. So I want to go back. I want to go back to Madonna for a moment, and Madonna's story, because she did give me permission to share this little bit. So I was in Gander, and we were at the mediumship event, and every time I looked at this one woman, all I could see was her dressed up as a mummer. Now, we're from Newfoundland, and what a mummer is at Christmas, for those who don't know, what a mummer is at Christmas time, people in Newfoundland get dressed up and they wear like layers of clothing. They wear a mask. They put like, could be a pillowcase over their head and cut the eyes out, kind of like a Halloween, but at Christmas time. But instead of getting treats, you get drinks, but you got to perform. You got to sing, you got to dance. And then people in the house have to guess who you are, because, so and so up the road has been a neighbor forever, but when they're dressed up, you may not know them. You might not know their voice. And so it's always that fun of guessing who they are. And it happens at Christmas time. So we have ugly sticks and washboards and guitars and accordions or whatever. And everyone, because you can't see them, everyone can be silly. Everyone can act. And so you're given drinks and lunch and food, and it turns into like a kitchen party. So anyway, one of the sessions, and I remember this so clearly because we spoke about it after the event, and I don't remember everything that happens in events. That's long gone when I'm done. But every time I looked at her, all I seen was she was dressed up as a mummer. That's all I could see her as. So when I'm speaking and I'd look down, all I see is a mummer sitting in front of me, dressed up in mummering outfit. And I would I'd almost fall out of my channel, and I'm like, and I start laughing. And then all of a sudden the message came that validated the mummering. And it was something that Madonna and her family did on a regular basis. They always go mummering. And she literally was wearing the energy of the mummer. And that is something that has a joy story. So it is her joy. It was her fun. It was describing a piece of her identity, a piece of her true personality. Not everyone would enjoy that. Not everyone would get that. But it is something that was, and it made me smile, it made me laugh, but it brought through a massive message that came through. But this is what she looked like. And so I was seeing a version of her sitting there dressed up as a mummer. And that's how spirit works. Spirit works in such magical ways. Our world and our life is so filled with so much magic, but if we're so consumed in everything else, or if we're told that we can't believe in magic, or that we have to fear everything in life, then how do we get to see the magic? How do we get to experience the magic? How do we get to see all of that happening? And so when that is the beautiful gift that I love, is that I get to see everything, but on the other side of that, I get to see everything. And because I get to see everything that is being revealed to me, then sometimes I'm not seeing the prettiest of things, but it doesn't mean it's for me to judge. It doesn't mean it's for me to connect to, but then there's the joy. And when you see joy, people often say you can't see joy, but you can see joy. You can see joy in an expression of how people show up. You can't see happiness. Yeah, you can see happiness, but it's not the world, it's not God, it's not the universe, it's not source creator. It's no one's job to bring you happiness. It is up to us to create the world that aligns to that true self and what it feels like to be that true self. And, when I talk about the safety nets, is that not everyone is meant to be a risk taker. Not everyone is here to, you know, be bungee jumping. Not everyone is meant to do things that would be something thrilling to another. Our thrills, our joy, and our happiness all looks different for people. My sense of accomplishment and overcoming things is minor compared to some other people's. It's not a comparison, it's not a race, and it's not a competition. And when we can look at things in a different with the different perspective, and we can see things in a different light, we can also see the fact that the big thing, and it's the big thing that's being sold to us as one of the Kool-Aids, is that we are to be divided and that we are enemies with each other, and that we should dislike each other, or that we should not find some commonality of where we can be connected. And so there is interconnection, but damn it, we should not all be thinking alike. We should not all be living alike. We should not all have the same views and the same perspectives, because how would we create a colorful world? But dignity and respect is another ballgame. That's another conversation. And so, yeah. And so when you can see and feel and sense, it really, truly, it really shows you it shows you who and what people are at the core level of them. And being able to see that, and to see that love, and to see that joy and feel it in my heart, is that moment of Madonna's experience sparked a bit of something of a joy within me that has left me not forgetting. But I'll tell you how early that message came. 2 days before that, Lisa and I were in Grand Falls, Windsor. We were in the Grand Falls, Windsor Mall, and we walked into the buck or two, which I kept joking the whole time. It's nothing in there is a buck or two, because what I looked at was $34.95. There's no way that was a buck or two. $34 or $32, right? It was, but there was a Christmas ornaments, and they were mummers, and they were Christmas. And I'm like, so I say to Lisa, who's walking behind me, I'm like, oh my God, look at the mummer Christmas decorations, which I still didn't pick up and bring home with me. I have no idea why, but it was just like, oh my God, look at the mummer Christmas decorations. They're so cute. And she goes, oh yeah. And she walks past me, and I'm just like, but there was an assumption. How would Lisa had ever known what a mummer was? She had never been to Newfoundland. How would she have known what a mummer was? So then in the reading out comes this mummer, right? And here I am seeing this mummer. And my heart just exploded. And I will never, ever forget the feeling that I felt being connected to Madonna, and feeling her truth, and being in her truth, and existing in her truth. And not saying there's not other things happening, but it was just such a beautiful experience. So Madonna, thank you. Thank you for sharing, for revealing that part of the story, and just letting me see that. Madonna is a pleasure to be around. Yeah, and you could feel it, you know it. And it's just like, if if someone could say she is not, then they don't know Madonna, right? They don't know Madonna. They don't know that Madonna. And that Madonna is magical, and she's so magical in so many ways. And so, yeah, so remembering our past and dissecting the things in life to find new solutions also means extracting the joy. And when you have, and the part of the healing for me that has been ongoing was the fact that I've had near death experiences, and my back surgery brought me through one of the biggest near death experiences, where I had to really say why I was going to come back to earth, why I was going to come back, what I was going to do, because the one thing I had not ever done, the one thing I had never put in my wheelhouse, was the fact of to come to feel what it was like to feel alive, to live a life that I felt like it was alive. And it was in being in heaven that really taught me about the power of wanting to create heaven on earth, wanting to create my personal heaven on earth. The world is not going to probably have its heaven on earth, but I'm going to have my heaven on earth. And a part of my heaven on earth is being able to meet people and share and be a part of those experiences. And so it was. Okay, Madonna, I will definitely do that. Thank you so much. Now I'm right excited again. See? You bring joy into this world. You are someone who brings joy. Um, and so, yeah, these are all the things that we have coming up right now. And they're so, and these are sacred, right? And having that sacred moment. So I'm going to pull a card, but I'm also going to pull a card from the new deck that is coming out. So the cards are officially ordered. There is some changes that have been made, but this is the new deck. And they are called "Wanna Know a Secret to a Life of More Than Existing." If you were in Newfoundland, there was 10 decks that we had that were from the demo deck. So they had some misspellings in them and stuff, but they were the beta testing deck that came, and we sold them in Newfoundland. So some people got the originals of these before they ever come out to print. So there is some changes. There's a diamond here now. So there's a diamond in the number, but these are a deck that I have been working on for a couple years, but I put them in the back. And it just wasn't the right time, and I just didn't have the energy, and there was just something that I had to really step up and make these cards. And I had to do the work myself. And then, of course, before they went to print, Lisa put her expertise into them to help make sure they're all correct. But yeah, so these are on their way. I will have them within the next few weeks. So by the end of November, they will be available for sale. I have a limited supply coming. So it will be first come, first serve. So let's see what the cards have for us. So here is the card that comes out, and then I'll share with you how they work with the other cards. Embrace your insecurities with love. No need to hide them. Your insecurities are visible, so why not acknowledge them? Instead of masking them, try to heal them with self-love. You are too beautiful to hide behind a mask. Oh dear. So funniest thing, I always keep my phone open. I always keep my phone open, and I always allow there to so I can see the comments. And I just looked down, and the whole video was just going absolutely crazy. So I hope it wasn't really going crazy. And so I'll read this again. Embrace your insecurities with love. No need to hide them. Your insecurities are visible, so why not acknowledge them? Instead of masking them, try to heal them with self-love. You are too beautiful to hide behind a mask. You are too beautiful to hide behind the mask. And I'll always say this, if you could see what I could see, you would never doubt you again. You would never doubt that there is something of you that is great, that there is something of you that is so that, the world needs in some way. And it could be just your presence is more than enough. Mask and mummers. Exactly, Sheila. Mask and mummers, right? To dress up, to play, but to spend your life in hiding behind a mask, dressing up as a character, dressing up to play a part is so it's something we should never have to do or to be. If we have to put the face on for the world, then we are usually hiding something of ourselves. And that leads us to pain, right? It leads us to not being able to be our truth, to live as our truth. We're hiding something. And that is coming up in this moon, is revealing to ourselves that part that we fear the most. I don't hide my insecurities. I wear them quite well, and it's because I just couldn't anymore. I don't, there is no perfect human. There is no perfection. You're never going to get everything so perfect that it's perfectly going to please everyone, or it's going to make everyone happy. Is what brings you joy. What brings you joy? What makes you feel like you are sparkling and shining? And when we're often wearing the mask, we're numbing something. And so when we're wearing all of those masks and all of the heaviness, is that what are we hiding? Or what do we think we're hiding? Because believe me, you're never hiding. And so, see, you just can't make this shit up. My very first statement talked about the imposter. And so I always share my experiences. as a way of well, they do. I don't want to share them. They let them out. They let all my secrets out. And so it's the imposter, O'Malley, right? And it is exhausting to beat ourselves up. And there is actually a syndrome. There's a condition called the imposter syndrome. And it is that which stands in the way of us being our truest of self. Those insecurities, those that sense of the low self-esteem. And I don't want to say it's low self-esteem. It is a lack of being of self-esteem, because we believe the thoughts that come from other people that turned into words. So other people's thoughts that became words that was projected onto you, that you believe to be true, that you believe that you had to overcome, that you believe you had to battle. And so the biggest imposter syndrome for me was around weight. It was around body imaging. It was around communication. It was around smartness. It was around pleasing, doing enough. And it was deep and it was big. And truly always believing that, I really wasn't enough. And so that imposter was clearing that out, because it's exhausting trying to keep up to the Joneses. It's exhausting trying to keep up an image. It's exhausting trying to outrun something. It's exhausting trying to be something. It's exhausting and it's disappointing when you're disappointing yourself because your limiting beliefs is to get back to comfort, that you fear, you fear falling so you don't fly, right? And so what if I fall? Oh, what if that doesn't work out? Or what if you lose? What if you lose that? What if you lose everything? When you dissect it and you go, will I lose everything by taking a chance on myself or taking a chance on doing something? It's what am I losing by not taking the chance? What am I losing by not investing into to something that I believe in? What am I really losing? I'm losing sleep. I'm losing my moments of joy. I'm losing this. And so getting down to radical honesty is becoming very honest with yourself. What was I losing by not going on tour, by not stepping further out? I was losing parts of myself, because there's nothing I love more than to be with big groups of people. I love it. I love being there. There's an aspect of myself that loves to be able to give those messages, but there was also a fear story that held me, that was playing in the back of my head, that sometimes became loud. So when your shadow is the voice that is the loudest, your light is always in hiding. And when your shadows live in your life, which we see all through this world, is we are existing in a world full of shadows, right? When our shadow is what is projecting forward, our light is in the back. And so you can blame it on somebody else that your light is not shining, but that's not a truth, right? It's us. It's our responsibility. It's our job. And so we have this imposter energy. And so when you can find it within you, you can see it. And then you can start to see what it would look like, what it would feel like, to feel the sense of being liberated, to be free, not to be shackled, not to be tied to an old energy. And so your insecurities, when you can dissect them farther, is the fact of your insecurities is an awareness. It's an actual awareness that ties into our consciousness. And you don't have to hide what was your insecurities are a part of your identity. It's a part of your innate identity. It's the part that may have been a problem for somebody else, but was it really ever a problem? Or was it an inconvenience? The loudmouth in me, the one who was always speaking up, the one that was always talking, the one that was always calling out the bullshit, was she really a problem? Or was she making things, or was she bringing to the surface something that needed to be acknowledged instead of suppressing more? Right? It's like, but finding a healthy balance is a must, that you have to be aware of what people are ready for and what you're ready for yourself. We do this in layers. And this is a deeper layer in your own healing that keeps you just saying, maybe it's time to start walking the new path, to start walking a new way, to not to be so lost, because the world that's out there, everything that's happening in the world right now is not causing the problems. It is what we hold within, not causing our personal problems. We should be concerned about some of the things that is going on. We should not be afraid to see what is going on. And we should not be, more concerned about our being comfortable, being kept comfortable, being able to stay in my little bubble. Is that sometimes you got to break that freaking bubble. You got to burst that bubble and think about things as sacred versus bubble. We sacred space, sacred time, sacred energy, sacred parts of yourself versus being in a bubble. We don't need to be in a bubble. We need to be sacred, right? And there is things that are sacred. And so your energy is also a part of the sacred, right? Really, truly, do I have the energy for this? you know, do I really have the energy to step into this? Do I want to put my energy into that? Do I want to go to that place? And so if you move things from emotions to energy, you'll be able to do things in a much more compassionate way, or with a deeper passion, than allowing the emotions to connect to the memories that keeps giving us evidence to why we should not be our truest version of ourselves. That's what I got for you. That's my message for you. The world is joy if people want to see it. Exactly. The world is full of joy, right? The world still has joy. The world still has happiness. And yeah, there is a shit show out there. There is stuff that's happening that should never be happening. But you sitting there being all afraid to live your life is not going to stop that from happening. And that's what we got to remember, is that us losing our light, us getting all angry, all upset, is not going to grow the light. If we want to grow the light, we have to be the light, and it all begins with us. We have to be the light within ourselves so that we can be the change. And when we are the light, it also grows our power. It grows our ability to be able to face the world, to do the things, to step into our true call. Maybe there is a great humanitarian hiding inside of some of you, that are hiding away because you're afraid to be your humanitarian, because it means that you're going to have to do things differently, or you're going to have to leave behind. You're going to have to disappoint people. And in life, we're going to have to disappoint people. And in doing some of the things in life that has led me to disappointing people, is I'm never going to be able to make everyone happy. And when I do big group readings, or I do big group things, there's always going to be a level of disappointment, but there's also going to be a massive level of healing and joy. And when people stay long enough, or they sit in long enough to be a part of, understand what's really happening in those moments, is that we are so consumed in spirit that we are in our own spirit. We're existing in our own spirit, and it's spirit to spirit connection. Spend more time with your soul, your spirit, and you may find a new best friend that you have not even met yet, that you have been so busy looking for something outside of yourself that you weren't able to see what's inside of you. So that's my message for you. My grand dog is barking. So the only thing I have left here now with me in Alberta is my grand dog and my son-in-law. They have been staying with me. And so they are leaving tonight. So the big thing, that vulnerability, speaking about vulnerability, is that, and why I'm not doing personal readings today in here, is because my daughter moved to Newfoundland. And I can't talk about it, but she had to take a leap of faith, and her family has taken a leap of faith, and I'm so proud of them. But they have moved, and so yeah, so I still have my grand dog today. I still have Stanley, and he's a big, great a Bernese mountain dog. But he don't want to sit in the house and snuggle with me. He wants to be outside. So you may be hearing him barking. And he brings great joy, and he has been a beacon of comfort for me in the last couple of days. He even hugs me. The Yorkies don't hug me. They don't even give it. They do their own thing. But him, he is something else. But tomorrow morning, my son-in-law is leaving to drive across Canada with all of their stuff. And we do send prayers, and we ask for them for anyone light a candle for their house to sell here in Alberta, so they can really begin their life in Newfoundland. So yeah, my grandbabies are moved. So I will be in Newfoundland visiting, I guess, a little bit more. The plane still goes both ways, but your children are not here to live your life, to live in your comfort, and make you comfortable. I said to my daughter, it's your job to break my heart. It's your job to live your life. It is your job to go do those things. It's my job to always, it's my duty as a mom to love you through all of those choices and decisions, and love you between your ups and your downs, and to never, ever, ever stop loving you, or to let anything stand in the way of you living your best life. So, and that takes, I probably wouldn't have been there a few years ago. That would have been a different story. But for the first time, it is that separation, it's that divide. And so we have everything happening right now. Everything is in this energy. So, people in your lives are going through their changes, their challenges. You may be going through your changes and your challenges, whatever it may be. Compassion is one thing, but caring is another. Caring about the world, caring about the people in our lives, caring about how we show up, caring about our own needs, caring about other people, even if they're total strangers. We should care. We should care that we are so easily manipulated into being divided, that we get so tangled up in hate stories, and having to hate on each other. That should never be how our lives are being led. And so breaking free of all of that, if we can be anything today, be love. If you can be kind, be kind. If you can, a smile goes a long way. So loving each other, being kind to each other, caring about listening to somebody else matters. Do all of those things. But in the meantime, that's what I got for you. Go listen to my YouTube video. I did share in my live on my Facebook page about liking, sharing, subscribing, because we are not paid by Facebook or by YouTube, by any of those places. We're not that big. We're just wee little peas in the pod. And so the ways to support us is to like, to share, to subscribe to our channels, to anything that you can do to help us be able to grow this, so that we can keep doing this, because this is not a hobby. This is not a side thing. This is my only life, and this is the life I live. And I want to be able to still be able to give out and keep that balance of free going in areas of where I can give that free content out. And so, yeah, if we can grow the pages and grow the channel, then that would help support us. So I send you so much love. Have a beautiful, beautiful week, and I will talk to you soon. Much love. Bye-bye.